Hey, what's up, travel enthusiasts? I'm Ryan with Cruise Planners, and this is Travel Talk with Ryan. Today I've got 5 travel tips that I think can make planning for that bucket list vacation even simpler. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. The first tip I have for you today is budgeting. Now, it's just as important to have a budget for your travel as it is in your everyday life. You want to start out by budgeting for your transportation. How are you going to get to your destination? Is it airfare, train, or car? You have to think about the costs that are going to be incurred in each one, like how much bags you're going to take on your airfare, or how many times you're going to have to stop for gasoline if you're taking your vehicle. Don't forget to budget for other transportation while you're on your journey. If you're taking Uber ride or taxis from the airport, or if you're going on an excursion and you need to account for the bus fare, that's something that you really need to take into consideration. The next thing you need to budget for is your accommodations. So whether you're staying in a hotel or a hostel, whatever you think is right for you, budget for that price point. Okay, you can do a lot of research online, or you can just get a hold of your travel advisor. The next thing you want to budget for is your food expenses. Now, if you're going to Western Europe or down to Australia, you can estimate that you're going to pay about what you would pay here in America. If you're going to Southeast Asia, you could probably pay a little bit less. I would say a good estimate is around $50 a day, and that's not including water. Now remember, a lot of countries that you travel to, you're going to either not be able to drink the water and have to purchase it, or you're going to pay for water everywhere that you go. Okay, so that's something that you're going to have to add into your budget. But if you plan for $50 a day, you can't go wrong. But again, you know your own eating style. If you like to go out to fancy dinners, you're going to expect to pay more. Or if you're going to a touristy trap area, you can also expect to pay more. Okay, so just budget for what you would normally budget for in everyday eating. The next thing you're going to want to budget for is activities. Do some research. Figure out what kind of things you're going to want to do in that area. Whether it's going to be a day trip, bus excursion, a hike through a cave, a city bus tour, or if you're going to go snorkeling or out on a boat. There's a lot of good places online that you can find information on this. You can always get in touch with your travel advisor, and we have all kinds of excursions that you could think of in any part of the world. If you want to ride a motorcycle through Ireland, I've got your back. Once you have that all figured out, you need to set priority. My recommendation is that you should prioritize your airline tickets or main transportation to that destination first. Especially with airline tickets, the price goes up the closer that it gets. Now, there's a lot of tips and tricks that you can find online that says maybe you can purchase your airline tickets on a Tuesday for cheaper. You know, it's kind of up to you. Go whatever route makes you most comfortable. Okay, but definitely prioritize your budget. And then once you have a plan, stick to that plan. If you're only going to spend $4,000 on your vacation, then only spend $4,000 on your vacation. Once you get in country, it's going to be really easy to just want to go crazy. But you want to try hard to stick to your budget. You made that goal, and you don't want to have to pay for it after your vacation. You want to remember your vacation as a nice time, not something that put you in a hole. And remember, your travel advisors are here to help. So give me a call anytime, and I can help you plan out that perfect vacation. All right, so you've made that decision, you've booked that vacation. Now, how do you protect that investment? That leads me to tip number 2. Tip number 2, travel insurance. Always purchase travel insurance. Now, we work with some great companies here at Cruise Planners that can get you really good travel insurance for not that much money. All right, so give me a call. I can insure vacations that you've already taken. Now, you might be saying, oh, I'm young and I'm healthy and I don't need travel insurance. Well, let me just tell you that travel insurance doesn't only protect you, but it covers your vacation. All right. So if you can't make your vacation for some unforeseen reason, weather, flight cancellation, something that's out of your control, don't worry. Your investment is safe. Now, let's say I have a credit card. My credit card will cover my travel because I purchased everything. I purchased my airline tickets with that credit card. They'll cover them. Well, I don't know. You really need to get into the fine details with your credit card because they may not actually cover as much or any that you think. So you could be looking at incurring the costs of the flight that you missed and incurring the second cost for a new flight to get you to where you need to go. So you might have booked a cruise and then you say, well, I'll just take the cruise line insurance. Well, you must beware because cruise line cancel anytime insurance may not actually be cancel anytime. It might be reimbursed to you in a voucher, not cash, not cancel, that needs to be used within the next 12 months. So basically, you're just moving your deposit to a new cruise vacation. Okay. Another thing that you have to be wary of is the cruise line's going to expect that you make every reasonable effort to make it to your cruise. So let's say a winter storm cancels your flight to Miami. Now the cruise ship's going to set sail without you. But the first stop is Puerto Rico. So what the cruise line is going to expect is that you make every effort to make it to your cruise. So now instead of flying to Miami, maybe you book that flight to Puerto Rico. It's a lot of time and a lot of hassle. Make sure you're in touch with your travel advisor if a situation comes up like this. And if you've booked travel insurance through a third-party retailer, such as one that I can offer you, you may be in better standing. You may be able to still make your vacation or get your full refund. Now, another thing to consider is what happens if you get sick or hurt on your vacation. A cost for airlift could be tens of thousands of dollars if you need to be evacuated from your cruise line in the middle of the Bahamas or somewhere in Europe. It's going to be even more if we have to call the Coast Guard to come and get you out of Alaska. So those are things that you need to be mindful of. Now, we can insure for up to $1 million, whereas a cruise line maybe will only give you $10,000 or $25,000 for an event like that. So it's just something that you really need to pay attention to. When I found out about travel insurance, my wife and I never travel without travel insurance anymore. It's just a really good deal, and it's a really good peace of mind to know that if you don't make your flight for whatever reason, you can just talk to your travel insurance company and get reimbursed for the flight and the cost of the new flight. It's really a great program. I definitely recommend it. It should be factored into that budget that we talked about in the trip before. And your travel advisor can give you a quote for anything. Even if you haven't booked your vacation through your travel advisor, you can definitely still book insurance through them. All right, so that's something I definitely recommend. All right, now you got all that taken care of, and now it's time to start planning on packing for your trip. Now, first step in packing, tip number 3, luggage. What kind of luggage are you going to need to bring for your vacation? So, first, you just need to think about the length of your journey. If you're just going for a weekend getaway somewhere, maybe a small carry-on is going to be more than suitable. If you're taking a lengthy vacation, you might want to think about packing something larger, a big rolling bag or a big backpack. Now, the next thing you want to think about is the mode of transportation. Okay, if you're flying on an airline, you're going to want to adhere to their baggage policy. All right, and then you want to figure out if you're going to take a carry-on bag for a short trip or if you're going to take that larger bag for a longer vacation. Okay, now if you're traveling by rail or by bus, maybe a small duffel bag that's suitable for overhead in a train or a bus. Or like I mentioned before, a backpack. Okay. Now you got to figure out what type of travel you're doing. So if you're going to be on the go and moving around all the time, maybe you want that lighter backpack style travel bag that you can pack everything in. If you're camping, of course, you're going to want a bag to carry those kind of goods in. Now, if you're just cruising through, staying at hostels and hotels, maybe you're only going to one destination, you just need a bag. I would consider something with wheels to make it easy to get around, right? And then you have to think about the type of activities that you're going to be doing on your vacation. Okay, so maybe pack a smaller day pack inside of your travel bag. That way you can leave your luggage wherever you're going. And then, when you're on the go cruising around the city, you have that small bag. My recommendation, take something that has a water bladder in it, okay? So that you can have a hydration pack with you. You can have water wherever you are, always available, okay? And then you can just refill it when you're on the go or refill it in the hotel, something like that. All right, remember, whatever type of baggage that you choose, please refer to the airline or travel mode of transportation baggage policy, okay? You don't want to get stuck at the gate or at the boarding platform with unexpected costs, okay? If they won't allow your bag to go on as a carry-on, they might make you check that bag for an additional fee. So please make sure you look up the baggage guidelines for your airline, rail carrier, bus, whatever it may be, to avoid those costly mistakes. All right, you got that perfect piece of luggage selected for your trip. Now, brings us to topic number 4, packing tips. All right, I'm going to give you some of my favorite tips for packing your bag so that you can utilize that new piece of luggage in the proper way. All right, I like to start my packing 2 months prior to departure. I know, that sounds insane, right? Who's going to pack their bag 2 months prior to departure? Well, that's not exactly true. So, what I'm going to do 2 months prior to departure is I'm going to research weather in the area that I'm going, average weather temperatures for that time of year, because that can ensure that I'm bringing the right things. Maybe I need a light coat instead of a heavy coat. Maybe I can get away with a pair of jeans instead of slacks. Comfortable shoes, hiking shoes instead of thick, heavy boots or rain boots. So some things like that. So you'll want to take a look at that kind of stuff 2 months out. Now, tip, beware. If you're going to countries such as Italy, for example, and you want to visit some of the churches over there, you're going to need to wear pants. Ladies, you're going to want to have your shoulders covered, no exposed knees, things like that. So definitely make sure that you're researching the activities that you're going to want to be doing, and then packing your clothing to make sure that that fits in. All right. Next, 1 month prior to departure. Now, 1 month prior to departure, lay out the clothes that you want to pack. Take a look at what's there and see, okay, do I have everything? What else could I possibly need? I'll take these items of clothing and then look at it and really take a good look at it and see, do I need all of these things? Now, 2 weeks prior to departure, that's when maybe you want to run your dry run, okay? So get out that piece of luggage and put everything in there and see if it all fits. I mean, you want to be able to bring everything that you need on your trip, right? Now, 1 week prior to departure, this is when I like to make sure that everything that I want to take is washed and ready to go on the vacation. I like to open my bag, put it out somewhere where I can just walk by and slowly put articles of clothing, things that I'm bringing with me in there a little bit at a time. Now, what I will say first is start with a packing list. Sit down, think of everything that you could possibly need for your trip, write it on down. Then, as you're putting it in the bag, you can just check it off. Make sure. I talked about this during the luggage segment, but make sure you refer to your airline's baggage policy, okay? And especially with the weight. Now, one tip that I have for you is you can save space in your bag by rolling your clothes or getting a compression sack, all right? It's a duffel bag size bag. You can put all kinds of stuff in there and then zip it up real tight. That'll help save space inside of your bag. Roll your clothes, pack them in there, zip them up real tight. Another tip that I have is to use packing cubes. It's similar to a compression sack. They come in various sizes, some of them for t-shirts, some of them for small things like socks. And for those kind of things, it's like a little bag. square shape. You can pack everything in there, zip it up. Some of them even have compression, so they're nice and tall when you put everything in it. You can run a zipper around again, it shrinks it down. This will definitely help to keep everything organized inside of your bag, so that during the flight or during your travels, everything isn't sliding around. You can group days of clothing together. You can group weeks of clothing together. You can group clothing together by location. If you're going to be in a warm location this week and a cooler location next week, you can have certain articles of clothing in each cube. And then you just need to pull out the cube that you're going to use for the vacation that you're there. The next thing I'm going to say is take that list and cut it right in half. Let's be honest, the list that you made probably is accounting for situations that are probably never going to happen. Really try to take a look at that list. We're all wired in that we need to overpack to prepare for every situation, and that's probably just not the case. So really take a hard look at that list. I would say that original list that we wrote back at week 2, go ahead and just cut it right in half, because you're probably not going to need all of those items with you. The next one that I have for you is to pack a change of clothes in your carry-on bag. Okay, you'll never know an instance where your luggage gets lost or it gets delayed, or you get delayed on a layover and you don't have access to your travel bag. You're really going to be thankful if you have a pair of clean underwear and socks in your travel bag with you, okay? So that's a tip for you. Now, as far as it goes for packing in your carry-on, make sure if you're going to bring toiletry items with you or liquids of any kind that you adhere to TSA's 311 rule. Okay, so what that is no bottle can contain more than 3.4 ounces of any liquid. All of those bottles need to be able to fit into a 1 quart clear plastic size bag, and you only can have one of those. When you go to the TSA check, you'll go ahead and take that out of your bag and put it in the tray alongside of it so it can run through the scanner, all right? So make sure you follow TSA's 311 rule. Okay, my next tip for you is to bring extra bags. Maybe a small duffel bag or even one of those reusable shopping bags. They weigh almost nothing. They really take up not a lot of space in your bag. You can just slip them right in there because you're never going to know when you need a small bag. Maybe a second carry-on for the trip home. You bought something that you just don't want to put into your travel bag to keep it safe for your ride home. Yeah, go ahead and just pack one of those small little bags. It's real easy. You just throw it in, take it right on the plane with you, and then you know your item is safe. My next tip for you is to wear that heavy coat or those heavy boots onto the plane with you. Save that weight in your luggage for your articles of clothing or souvenirs on your return trip. There's no sense in packing a heavy pair of boots when you can just wear them. You're not going to be doing any walking really on the flight, so it's not going to affect you all that much. Save that weight, save that space that you can use later, and then that could help avoid overweight fees as well. Another tip that I have for you is pack a dryer sheet or two in there. If you're going to take a long trip, a week or so, maybe you're moving around to different destinations, it would be nice to have that dryer sheet in there to kind of make everything smell a little bit better, instead of the smell of your dirty laundry from a week ago. My next tip that I would say, and it kind of goes back to really scrutinizing your list, is don't pack things just in case. Really, if that situation does arise, which it probably won't, you can find most things that you could need where you're going. So I would say just be mindful of what you're packing in your bag, and those what if scenarios, you probably don't really need to plan for them all that much. And my last tip for you is kind of a fun tip. Leave some room in your bag. You're going to be in these beautiful locations all over the world. And I mean, who doesn't want to bring back a little trinket or something from where they've been? put it out and conversation starters, or show people the places that you've been, add to your collection from around the world. But leave a little bit of room, plan ahead. You're going to bring something back. So go ahead and plan for it ahead of time. All right, so that brings us to our fifth and final tip, and that is money. Not the money that you're budgeting for your trip, not the money that you're saving for your trip, but the money that you're taking on your trip and what to do with it. Money exchange. Now, first of all, if you're going to do a money exchange, I would recommend doing it at your bank or a credit union here in the States. All right, a lot of times you can order that money ahead of time, go pick it up, and you're going to get the best exchange rate if you do it here. Beware, stay away from the money exchanges that are at the airport, all right? It might seem like a good deal, but you're going to be losing 8 to 15% every time that you exchange cash for cash like that, all right? So really you want to try to minimize those exchanges, especially while you're traveling. Now, remember, if you see a store that accepts American dollars, you could be paying up to 20% extra for goods. So it's always best to do money transactions in the local currency. Don't stress about using local currency. Most of the countries around the world have a system that's set up very similar to ours. They have bills, they have coins. Written on the coin is how much each one of them is worth, and they all add up to 100, just the same as ours. Now, many of the places that you go to, the locals are more than willing to help you out because you're paying those goods and they want to help you. Okay, so just take your time, learn a little bit about the culture, learn a little bit about the money. Some of the bills that you can find around the world are really, really neat compared to our money. And my wife and I, we actually save money from around the world because it's a really neat thing to collect. So don't stress, don't worry about it. It's really simple, okay? Now, try to plan your money withdrawals. If you can plan for your whole trip ahead of time, that's great. But things might come up and you might need a little bit more currency along your journey. Okay, so just plan it out. Next, many of the credit cards that you get nowadays are designed for traveling. Okay, so you could actually just pay with your card the whole time and not really even deal with currency. Or very small amounts of currency throughout your whole trip. And just think, you could be earning miles or points towards your next vacation while you're on your current vacation. That's great. One tip that I will throw out there though is you should only use a credit card to get cash in emergencies. You're going to pay an extremely high rate for cash advance and cash advance in a foreign currency exchange. Okay, so really try to limit that to only if there's an emergency and you need that cash on hand. All right, well, that's about all for our time here. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Check back next time for more information. Go ahead and write down below there, hit the subscribe so you'll never miss a video. We'll be doing videos about our vacations that we've taken, some destinations that you can travel to yourself, and maybe you might even find something to add to your bucket list. So subscribe, like this video, and comment below for what you want to see in the future. Thanks, travel enthusiasts. Keep on traveling.